Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So this evening is the Magha Puja, and opportunity to, and looks like many people have taken the opportunity to come and join for the evening, and to join in the chanting, meditation, taking precepts, listening to the Dhamma talk. Then we will do a circumambulation. This Magha Puja is a occasion when the Buddha gave a teaching to 1,250 arahants. It was a spontaneous gathering, and it's recollected until today. It was in the early days of the establishing of the sasana. I'm drooping here. Okay. Yes. Hopefully not a portent of the Dhamma talk of the evening drooping. So yes, this is probably the largest gathering in the Buddha's life story of his dispensation, with so many enlightened monks all together, and he gave a teaching called the Ovada Patimokkha that lays out the foundation of both the training as well as the spirit of the training. I thought I would read it. One, because it is very famous. There are inscriptions all around ancient India with these verses. Sapapapa sakarnanang kusala supa sampada sacitta parliyota padang etang buddhana sasanang, which is the not doing of any evil, to be committed to the good, to purify one's mind. These are the teachings of all Buddhas. But the teaching goes on And to Kanti Parlamang Tapo Titika, patient endurance is the highest practice, burning up defilements. Nibbānang Parlamang Vadanti Buddha, the Buddhas say Nibbana is supreme. Nahi papahajito parupakati, not a renunciant is one who injures others. Samanohoti parlangvihe dayanto, whoever troubles others can't be called a monk. Anupavado anupagato, not to insult and not to injure. Patimoke jasangvaro, to live restrained by training rules. Matanyuta japatasaming, knowing one's measure at the meal. Pantancha sayanasanang, retreating to a lonely place. Adichitte cha ayoko, devotion to the higher mind. Etang buddhang asasanang, these are the teachings of all Buddhas. So on a certain level you think, 1,250 arahants together, and that's all they come up with? And think, well, that's not much. But, really, the one, of course, they're 1,250 enlightened beings already. So that it's more like a reviewing of what are the fundamental principles of this training to delight in, and to create a sense of, in the future, these are the fundamentals of what a holy life constitutes. In the sense of just that refraining from any kind of evil, and of course for the Buddha's sasana to thrive. These are principles that say enlightened beings are already adhering to or have embraced already fully. But in order for the sasana to put down roots in a really firm and solid way, to bring benefit to the future, like to us 2,500 years later, there needs to be this commitment to a not doing of that which is evil. And it's just refraining from the unskillful, refraining from the unwholesome, refraining from the harmful. Is I remember Ajahn Chah one time sort of saying just how important this is, in that the as long as one is, I'm trying to remember the idiom that he used. But anyway, it's like the essence of it is people are running around chasing after merit, trying to think, I'll do all these good deeds and I'll accumulate all this meritorious, all these meritorious brownie points in my life, and I'll get all these benefits. But they forget to refrain from what's unskillful, and they spend their time, wasting it really, because the foundation isn't there. And so that it's like really paying attention to getting the foundation right in our practice, in our life, so that just the willingness to have restraint from our are impulses that aren't so skillful. It lays a foundation and opens up an opportunity for brightness to really come in, and so that not to be overlooked, and just that sense that the not doing of that which is unskillful, is unwholesome. But then in the same way, to just be committed to the good, the kusala. And the kusala is a term that the Buddha uses to describe both and not just what is good, but is also what is skillful, that what is wholesome, that is beneficial, that is brings benefit, and is accompanied by a kind of steadiness or well-being. There's a solidity in the mind with what is kusala. There's a sense of the mind being clear and able to reflect, so I can apply one's intelligence. So it's a term like in the translation here, to be committed to the good. In the English language, to something good is just really inadequate when we're trying to get our mind around what is kusala, and because so in a Buddhist terminology, we're aiming toward the kusala as opposed to just what is good, because we can be good little Buddhists but still make a mess of things. And so this is just learning how to lifting our attention up to the kusala, so that the mind becomes prepared, and the mind becomes prepared for the sacitta pariyottanam. It's this the translation is to purify one's mind. Pariyottanam is sort of like to be well trained, for the mind to be really well trained, and for the mind to be really well trained, it is there's a steadiness there. There's an imperturbability which is really important. Again, because purification is a relinquishing, because it isn't just sort of trying to take something pure and put it on top of one. One is really relinquishing that which is unskillful, unwise, unsteady, and what's left are the qualities of steadiness, clarity, lucidity. The mind is very clear and lucid, and this is really the kind of the essence of the mind. This is the nature of the mind. So that in order to, but it does take some training. We can't just out of good intention wait for the nature of mind to show up. You need to be proactive in being willing to exercise restraint, exercise refraining from that which is unskillful, putting forth effort to what is skillful, and then to train the mind so that it delights in the peaceful, that it delights in the steady. Because sometimes we're enamored with our moods, and we're enamored with our ups and downs. They give us a certain sense of drama, which is okay on some occasions, but then of course there's always a problematic nature to when our moods are shifting. So this opportunity to realize what's truly peaceful is just so important. And the verses go on. Kanti parlamang tapo titika. Patient endurance is the highest practice, burning out defilements. The kanti as a virtue and as a way of training is. It's important to recognize that the Buddha calls it a parami. A parami is these wholesome qualities that are wholesome spiritual qualities that lead to awakening or lead to a sense of freedom from dukkha. And they lead to the goal, so that there's a whole range of different paramis of generosity, of virtue, of determination, of wisdom, and patience is one of them. Patience and patience. It's important to reconfigure what we assume to be patience, because it is. We think of patience as usually what I think of patience when you use the English term is just sort of like putting up with something unpleasant until it's over, waiting for it to be over. That's not a parami. It's sort of gritting your teeth and enduring. But patience is a willingness to be open and aware and present with what we're experiencing, so that we're not shaken by it. And that's a really beautiful spiritual quality, and that's what burns up our defilements, burns up our sort of our habit patterns, our conditioning. Because sometimes we all have the intelligence to recognize what our bad habits are, what our unskillful conditioning is, or the patterns that we get trapped by. We all have that intelligence, but it's rare to to have the patience or to have the resilience of mind that just is able to see it clearly and allow it to fall away. And that's what kanti is. Just a resilience of heart that is so clear that it's not shaken. So that, and this is something that, and of course we have to train with that, with little things, just being like for me, coming to England, being patient with English weather, just because it. And there's all sorts of different things. There's living in a monastery. There's just so many opportunities for being patient, because it's not designed to be comfortable. There's a certain element of thwarting of desire and preference. We get to eat only one time of the day. Right now we're in a period of open schedule, which gives people the opportunity to, say, to stay up as late as one likes, or to get up later when one wants, or whatever. Or to get up as early as one wants. But generally, when we have a monastic routine going, then we have our pujas at set times, and then there's chores that need to be done at set times, and so that we have to be willing to fit in with a communal schedule, and that. Takes a certain patience, a kanti, just being willing to set aside one's own preference and being present with what is happening and what's expected of one right now. And there's a kind of freedom that comes in the heart when one is able to be able to do that. And so it is just the fruits of patience are tremendous freedom, but it does take some time to readjust one's habits and conditioning, and burning up the defilements. Ajahn Chah was really famous for submitting everybody to the opportunity to have their defilements burned up. But with his, it's because you never, you'd have the meals once a day at Wat Pho Phong, and and sometimes he would chat with the lay people before ringing the bell to begin eating, and you're sitting there and you're just looking at your bowl, and you're hungry and you're impatient, and you think, I could do without this kind of practice. Or he would, sometimes famously give very long discourses. I remember my very first patimokkha. Because I was ordained as a monk elsewhere, and I came. I was quite newly ordained, and came to live and train with Ajahn Chah, and he would have you, if you were ordained somewhere else, then you were there as a visiting monk for a period of time until he felt that you were sincere, ready to take on the training, willing to take on the Vinaya. And so it was probably, 3, 4, 5 months after I got there that I was invited to join for the patimokkha, and it was and I was really excited. Okay, I get to join the patimokkha tonight, and I get kind of like get to be with the big boys, and not be on the outside of things. And so the bell rang. I think it rang at 6:30. Is when it would ring, and Patimokkha would be at 7 in the evening. So the bell rings at 6:30, and I'm all excited and keen. So I get there as quick as possible. 6:30, sit down, wait, and then I wait. And no Ajahn Chah, and then everybody else shows up, and we're all waiting. And then we heard about, it was about 8:30 or so, 8:30, and said, Luang Por was over at the nun section giving instructions to the nuns. He'll be back shortly. He'll be over. So by the time he got there, it was about 8:45, and then started the Patimokkha about 9:00. So okay, here we go. We got the Patimokkha going and sitting. And I'm still quite a young monk and not used to sitting on the floor very comfortably at all. In those days at Wat Pah Pong, we didn't have cushions, didn't have zafus. We did have our sitting cloths, which didn't give much comfort at all. But then the Patimokkha ended, and then Ajahn Chah started to give instructions. And so this is about 10:00. And it went on and on. He wrapped up around 3:30. And it was sort of, the way he wrapped it up was sort of like, because normally the bell rings at 3:00 for morning chanting at 4. And you say, innocently thought, it's 3:30. Somebody ring the bells for morning chanting. So that was my introduction to practice of patience in its more extreme form. So that, and at the time you think, I'm not going to survive. This is impossible. But then, and you look back on that, that was such an incredible gift because with patience, patience in the sense that a willingness to be present, because sometimes you go through all sorts of moods of resentment and anger and frustration. But then you also, you're there for practice, so that you are sort of considering how can I be present? What is the obstacle for my just being peaceful and accepting things as they are? This is actually truly having knowledge and vision of the way things truly are, and just being present. Where's the problem? What's the obstacle? And can I just be present with what it is, whatever it is, and so that's the benefit of patience, because it's being this patient endurance, this enduring mind of stability that just allows things to rise and pass away. There's that's where our, say, opportunity for liberation of the heart is. It's not necessarily in just sort of chasing after states of purity of conduct or purity of mind, however we conceive of it. It's in the willingness to be present and see things in their true nature, allow things to to follow their true nature. And that so that's it is an incredible gift, but it's something that we have to train ourselves with, and so that sense of lifting up patience as a way of training. And then Nibbanang Paramang Vadanti Buddha. The Buddhas say Nibbana is supreme. And of course, Nibbana is the that is the goal in Buddhist practice. And so and there's two main ways that the Buddha points to Nibbana as the primary goal, and that is it's as a freedom from dukkha, freedom from suffering, from discontent, dis-ease, dissatisfaction, from stress. So it's on on the affective level, and freedom from greed, hatred, delusion. In a sense, freedom from all defilement. So in the terms of content, that's how it's expressed. But it is so Nibbana is this opportunity for real freedom. But in order to reach that freedom, again, we have to be willing to relinquish. We have to be willing to let go of dukkha, or not to feed it, not to be reborn in it. Because that's, because and same with our defilements. We have to be willing to let them go. Which is, when we're suffering, we think, oh, I just want to be done with this. But then, we have the opportunity to sit and be peaceful, watch the in-breath come in, watch the out-breath go out, delight in solitude, delight in stillness, and then we can't stop thinking. We can't stop rehashing something from the past. We can't stop planning something for the future. So that we're for all of the wish to experience Nibbana and to relinquish completely, there's still those habit patterns. So that to be reminding ourselves that this is a possibility, and we have to be willing to let go. In the end, the essence of letting go is in the identification. It's around that sense of self, sense of me. Me and my defilements, me and my suffering. What would I be without these things? It's an interesting exploration. Can I just keep letting go? And there's a real delight that comes into the mind as we do that. The nahi papajito parupakati, not a renunciant is one who injures others. Samano hoti parang muhete yanto, whoever troubles others can't be called a monk. These are fundamentals of living a holy life. It's a commitment to harmlessness. Anupavado, anupagato, not to insult and not to injure. Again, this sense of just a real commitment to harmlessness. Patimokkha sangaro, to live restrained by training rules. And so for the patimokkha is is formalized for the monastics into their training rules, and 227 rules of the bhikkhu training, 150 for the Siladhara, something like that. Yeah. And so that that's a patimokkha. 8 precepts, 5 precepts for the lay people. That is a patimokkha. These are training rules. And so having an interest in living restrained by training rules is a fundamental part of training, because that sort of the illusion of freedom is if I didn't have to conform to any rules, then I would be free, and which is not necessarily the case at all. But the willingness to take on a certain training and have an integrity in that training is we can really shine forth, because also training rules, having boundaries are really important. I mean, one, of course, on a moral level, the aspect of virtue and integrity, that's the whole purpose of sila. But also for having something that provides a mirror that reflects back what is our conditioning, what is our preference, what is our habit. Because in the midst of our thoughts that are conditioned and our moods that are habitual, it all seems sort of normal or reasonable, but we keep getting tripped up by them. So that having boundaries of training rules, and of course for us as Buddhists, it's something you take on voluntarily, whether it's monastic training or lay training. These are the things that we take on in a voluntary way. We make a commitment within ourselves to train within that. Matanyuta Jupatasaming, knowing one's measure at the meal. Of course, on one aspect, of course, is just that knowing what's enough in terms of consumption of food, and what's being one who eats little is something that is. And saying eating little is also just in the sense of knowing what's just enough for our own body, our own energy, our own health. But on a bigger level, knowing one's measure at the meal, there's a discourse where the Buddha points to, if we understood our relationship to food, we would understand our relationship to the whole sense realm of sights, sound, smell, taste, touch. eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind itself. Because it's like a window onto the realm of the sense spheres. So that just so learning how taking the knowing is one's measure at the meal, and then extrapolating that out to how we relate to the other senses as well, and understanding the senses and the habitual patterns that we follow, either through greed, hatred, delusion. And of course, this, in this Ovada Patimokkha, the Buddha is giving to 1,250 arahants. This is in the very early days of the Buddha's teachings, and shortly after the Buddha had just given the fire sermon to 1,000 fire-worshipping ascetics, and that is all around the teaching was all around the six sense bases. So that knowing one's measure at the meal, in the sense of knowing one's relationship to the sense world around one. This can be a catalyst for awakening. Pantancha sayanasanam, retreating to a lonely place. I don't know about lonely, a secluded maybe, secluded place. So that being one of the reflections that the Buddha has us do, and there's 10 reflections for one who has gone forth. Do I delight in solitude or not? It's an important reflection. Can I be content on my own, or am I constantly seeking company? Am I constantly seeking something to do, some people to be with, things to engage in? Can I just be content within myself? It's an important reflection. It doesn't mean we have to be by ourselves all the time, but can we be content? Do I delight in having that opportunity to disentangle? Adijite cha ayoko. Devotion to the higher mind. Adijita is particularly the aspects of, traditionally in the connotation of the word is in terms of samadhi. And so that devotion to samadhi, steady, stable, clear states of mind. It's like it's like in the instruction that the preceptor gives to a newly ordained monk. Adi sila sikha sikitaba, adi jitta sikha sikitaba, adi panya sikha sikitaba. So these are the training rules for developing adi sila, the higher virtue. This is a training for developing the higher mind, adijite. And so training for developing adipanya, the higher wisdom. And so that, but in this sense, the developing of the states of stillness, of steadiness, of clarity, because it does take a willingness to pay attention on a consistent basis, so that we can experience that in a more consistent way. The human condition is kind of a restless one, and It's like the word samsara in terms of the world, or is usually assumed or thought of when we say samsara. This is the world outside, but it's the world inside as well. Because what samsara, what it literally means is wandering on. And so that, our mind is samsara. It's always wandering on to the next thought, wandering on to the next idea, wandering on to the next worry, wandering on to the next improvement that we can do, wandering on to anything other than being still and being clear, being steady. And so that Edang Buddha Satanam, these are the teachings of all the Buddhas. It's quite a... So this is a powerful teaching that the Buddha gave, laying out the foundations of what he taught and followed and encouraged for 45 years of his dispensation. This talk was probably given to within the first year, I think, if we track it back and extrapolate. And so the Buddha followed this template for a long time, and the template holds up until this present day. And we're here this evening to kind of recollect the occasion of Magha Puja and the teaching of the Ovada Patimokkha and the gathering of 1,250 arhants, so that this has a potency. It's something that is worthy to be delighting in. When you have those, leave this for contemplation, reflection.